So Canada's made the absolute brilliant move to put all of their retaliatory pressure on MAGA districts and MAGA states throughout our country. And this while at the same time, the American population is really kind of mirroring the boycott that was very successful in Canada by leveraging their consumer base, their spending money, to divest from industries that are MAGA heavy or businesses that are ran that are known to support MAGA. Now, what we have to understand here is that the corporate myth of apolitical business is hitting a brick wall, because you don't get to fund the dismantling of a country on a Tuesday and then have the same people that you're hurting bankroll your payroll on a Thursday. When the baseline stability of the entire republic is on the line, pretending that commerce is neutral, it's not pragmatism. What it is, it's complicity or cowardice or both. People across the country right now are finally waking up and understanding that treating the ballot box every 4 years like an unmonitored suggestion box just allows this same problem to continue. So what they're doing is they're cutting off MAGA-aligned commercial hubs, right? They're tracking down blue dot ranchers and spending their money with businesses that are morally aligned with them and vetting exactly who gets their money, right? And most people, if we're being honest, they're not doing this out of moral purity. They're doing it because by stacking our money and moving it all at once is really the only direct action lever left on the board in the United States for the people. And if you are somebody in America who's actually participating in this kind of boycott, right, here's why that blue beef in your fridge is actually a tactical partner to the Canadian Trade Bureau. Now, for 50 years, Washington's treated Canada like an absolute sacrifice zone, just like it treats any resource-rich area, whether that be the Middle East, or whether that be Venezuela, whether that be the Appalachian Mountains. When the Trump administration rolled out these 50% tariffs, Ottawa didn't have to draft an emotional press release, right? What they did was they brought in the guys who treat spreadsheets like sniper rifles. What they really did, and something that they're really accomplishing here, is by taking the leverage they have and giving it maximum efficacy. Because they looked at the American map and they performed a surgical extraction. Automotive supply lines, slapping duties on parts, tractor trailers, specialized components moving directly through Michigan and Indiana, heavy industrial exports, squeezing appliance manufacturing, steel derivatives, in tool and die shops across the Rust Belt. They're applying targeted agricultural and regional pressure, 25% of duties on Wisconsin dairy and Maine lobsters, hitting specific key districts without actually touching broad staple grains like North Dakota wheat that Canada actually needs. They isolated the exact industrial base that Trump promised to protect, right? And turned it into an economic vice. Now, we also have to talk about the collateral damage here, because there is no such thing as a clean strike in a trade war. Supply chains, they don't actually care about your voting records so much. So when Canada places 50% levy on steel components, right, it doesn't just hurt the pro-Trump factory owner. It hits the blue-collar worker, the logistics driver, the entire local economy. But this is honestly the way that this war needs to be waged. And that's exactly the point, right? Canada is forcing the entire region to feel the weight of these MAGA policies. Until internal pressure becomes unbearable, there will be no change. Because the thing is, with all the things that have been happening throughout the world right now, with the squeezing of the global energy markets, the breaking of supply chains all over the world, the incredible cost of diesel, the scarcity, price surges, most of these things haven't actually touched the American population. So they feel so detached from it that they don't actually care whether these tariffs are going on or not. And this is a very important thing, I think, that no one's really talking about, because what Canada is doing is showing America the consequences of their actions, right? They're forcing them to see, they're forcing them to feel, they're forcing us to feel. Because no longer is it just a spicy clip that you can scroll past. You can't ignore the unemployment. You can't ignore the factories shutting down. You can't ignore the supply chains getting hit when it's affecting your neighbor, when it's affecting your brother, your sister, your family. When it's affecting them, you're forced to understand that these are the consequences of our own actions. And like I said, the boycott that's happening in the United States right now is really mirroring what's been going on in Canada, because the Canadian public didn't wait for the government's permission to actually join in. They cleared American alcohol off the shelves by not buying it. They instituted strict Buy Canadian grocery routing with apps that allow them to understand what's coming from where, so they actually know that they're buying Canadian products. More critically, what they've been doing is bleeding the American tourism sector absolutely dry. Look at the numbers that have been coming out from popular destinations just last winter. It's going to be worse this winter. Right? Canadian snowbirds, they canceled their winter bookings in Florida and Arizona in droves. Because when an entire nation voluntarily chooses either to stay and freeze in Manitoba, right, or to go to the Mediterranean, or to go to Asia, or to go to Mexico, it's not just a protest. It's not just a boycott. It's the people, the population themselves participating in economic warfare. And the thing is, the Canadian people know full well what they've been doing. It's the American people who've absolutely ignored everything that's been going on. Now, connect that back to what's actually happening domestically in the United States. The domestic boycott in Michigan or Ohio only works if the target business has nowhere else to sell. If a local machine shop loses its domestic buyers, its traditional escape hatch has always been the export market to Ontario, to Canada as a whole. By Canada freezing those exact red states' exports at the border, right, they're removing the escape hatch. The pressure has nowhere to go. Ottawa, from the outside, and conscious consumers in the United States deciding to spend their money somewhere else. They're trapping the MAGA economy in a vacuum where the only thing left to breathe is their own debt. This coordination acts as an immediate firewall, because when Trump inevitably gets on the camera to whip up the xenophobic frenzy against our northern neighbors, right, half our country isn't going to just buy the propaganda. They know already. That's why it's important that these videos get out. So like and subscribe, boost the signal of our pirate broadcast. Because the message that MAGA, the message that this president has been getting back from our neighbors to the north and our allies within the United States is that Canada isn't the problem. Right? You broke the supply chain. We aren't buying your inventory either. I mean, this entire situation is absolutely false. I mean, let's be real for a second. Right? Imagine being the only guy in history to lose money in a building where people literally walk in and hand you and their colleagues funds. And we're trusting him to outmaneuver the guy, right, who literally invented the middle power veto. It's not just bad policy. It's a mathematical error that America is really seeing the consequences of. The momentum is moving towards an action that the world really needs right now, and that's the dismantling of the trade doctrine of Donald J. Trump once and for all. Right? We're watching a $28 trillion economy being run like a high-interest payday loan by a man whose concept of trade stopped evolving in 1985. His tariff policy is one of the most unpopular policies in all of American history. He genuinely believes that tariffs are magical trade tribute payments, and he thinks when he signs an executive order, it just acts as a wire transfer that leaves Ottawa and lands directly in the U.S. Treasury. That's not how tariffs work. That's not how tariffs have ever worked. A tariff is an excise tax paid for by domestic importers at the port of entry. Right, you're taxing the assembly plant in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You're taxing the component fabricator in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You're taking the most integrated multi-border manufacturing corridor on planet Earth, right, where parts have to cross the Detroit River 6 times before a chassis is even bolted, and throwing an industrial wrecking ball directly into the machinery. And all the sacrifice being made by our country and our countrymen for what? So that Donald Trump can actually stand in front of a rally in a really ill-fitting imported suit and pretend that he's resurrecting 1954. And this is the definitive con of the modern American populism. Convince the working class manufacturing workers that you're actually saving their job by doubling the cost of the raw materials that they need to build anything. Right? Watch the plant slash its second and third shifts just to stay solvent, and then blame foreign sovereignty on cable news when the operation entirely collapses. Because that's how it's going. The fatal mistake that Donald Trump actually made was thinking that Ottawa was going to fold because he views geopolitical diplomacy like bullying a drywall subcontractor on a bankrupt resort project so he wouldn't actually have to pay him. Right? He assumed that Canadian leadership was going to panic. Instead, he's dog-walking our country into an institutional buzzsaw. Canadian officials, right, they read the balance sheets. They identified the structural vulnerabilities of the American electoral map. And they locked the vice down on Donald Trump's political base. In the media, they say that Canada doesn't actually have enough leverage to survive a trade war with the United States, but Canada is the only one with a galvanized population and a popular mandate to actually be in this war. Canada has the sovereign leverage, right? They hold the critical minerals, the timber, the raw energy, the discipline to execute long-term trade defense. So stop apologizing for voting with your capital because it's the one tool that you have left to enact any kind of change in our country, to have your voice be heard. It's the choices that you make at the register that actually define the political discourse that's going to happen over the next few months. Because as long as we look at business like it is apolitical, we continue to support a socioeconomic landscape that allows this kind of villainy to thrive. And that's exactly what it is. It's villainy on the highest level, and we're all just the targets and the prey for it. The entire mess that the world has had to survive over the past year and a half has been because of complacency of the people of the United States and our political leaders. Right? Every nation around the world knows right now that the American people don't actually have the balls to enact the kind of change or stop the badness that's happening, that's wreaking havoc all over the world. So the consequences are coming to the United States because of our inaction. So when these things happen, when we suffer them, don't listen to the politicians when they say, oh, there's no reason for them to be acting like this. It's because they're greedy. It's because they hate our freedom. They hate our liberty. They hate our way of life. What, the Canadians? The rest of the world sees the facade. The rest of the world sees the grift, the scam. It's the American people thus far who failed to recognize it or have recognized it and have just given up entirely. When you give up, you give in. I'm not giving in, and nor should you. Spend your money where it counts. We've seen how effective these kind of boycotts can be in Canada regarding trade with the United States. It is time for the American people to do the same. Because there are no trade talks that are happening anymore. Right now, we're in a moment of retribution, and it's very easy for a trade war to turn into something much worse. And while you're like, well, Canada doesn't have a military. Yes, of course they do. And they have a very strong military. And not just that, they have all of our allies that we used to have. And they have an integrated population, and there's no strong border between our countries. America is more vulnerable than 99% of the country would actually believe. But let me know what you think in the comments section. Food for thought as always. Take care.